Welcome back to another episode of Clothing Brief. This is, of course, our platform that's a little different than our longer form clothing culture podcast or our other form, Bar Talks, where we bring to you topics, insights based on your questions. Today, we're going to talk to you about what's trending in our industry as far as conversations, what's been happening in the news, and we're going to start right at the top with, once again, change in luxury. I feel like this is becoming a weekly conversation.
It is. If it's not tariffs, it's changes at luxury for sure.
That's right. This time we're talking Fendi.
Yeah.
Major transition from the creative director that's been in position for quite some time. And
Sylvia Venturini has been around with Fendi for, I think, since 1994 or something. And wow. She really took over women's wear after Karl Lagerfeld and the exit of Ken Jones. And I mean, she's credited for helping shape Fendi's modern identity, the baguette bag in 97, the peekaboo in 09. I think she balances, kind of the heritage craft with fresh, playful ideas. Her final show was during Milan's Fashion Week.
Which we'll be talking about a little bit later in this conversation. So this legacy Fendi is now, or heiress, is now moving on to honorary president.
Yes.
So that's a congratulations for stepping down and stepping up all at once.
Yeah.
We have another industry, fashion tech, or another topic today, fashion tech darling Christine Hunsaker charged $300 million in fraud. This is crazy.
Yeah, this is kind of like the whole Elizabeth Holmes thing recaptured again with fashion and tech, right? She brought in all sorts of people under the platform Castle, this clothing as service thing, the rental startup, Gwynnie B, is now facing all sorts of issues with fraud. She's falsified financials, doctored audit reports, misled investors, and some of these are big names.
Yeah.
I mean,
Ralph Lauren,
John Hesse of Alphabet. You're right, Ralph Lauren, Some Express. It collapsed this year in bankruptcy, and she's pled not guilty. So I'm not sure how the whole thing's going to shake out. You are guilty until proven innocent, but it definitely sounds like the fashion tech industry's version of Theranos.
So, I mean, it kind of sounds like we're going to be seeing some sort of Netflix series in the future based on
sure.
this story.
Yeah, for sure.
So circling back, Milan Fashion Week has, of course, just transpired, and there's been some excitement, some new kinds of experiments happening. And of course, with so much transition having happened in this space, a lot to make note of.
Yeah, we talked on a previous episode about Denma taking over as creative director with all this history that he's done. He really, Gucci. Yeah, he's really done an interesting twist. They started with this really cool short film called The Tiger. And so I think it paves the way for this new revitalization, hopefully, at Gucci. Again, this whole sector is kind of plagued right now with all sorts of volatility. Versace unveiled its new creative director.
That's right.
Dario Vitale. They did it at the historic Palazzo. I think it kind of nodded to sensual Roman roots, bold open cut designs, vibrant color, which is so much of what Versace has kind of been known for a long time.
Jill Sander introduced Simone how do you say the last
name?
Bellotti. I need to practice on my Italian. The new creative voice, presenting a lighter, more structured aesthetic that leaned into the house's minimalistic legacy. And Fendi, of course, leaned into bold florals and geometry.
And we saw those florals really come out when we were in Rome last year with Fendi. I think it must be working, so they're continuing to drive all that. And then we see geometry and geometric shapes kind of come and go.
Yeah, they kind of change in scale.
They do change in scale and size. And so we're seeing that continuing, which seems to make sense.
So we have a new CEO at Kate Spade making some changes that I think it seems like the brand has been in need of. They had some drops in sales, and it felt like they kind of lost their way a little bit with how they resonated with their audience, and we've got some evolution coming.
Yeah, Eva Ardman, she joined Kate Spade, CEO and president, earlier this year. She's trying to bring back this relevance, and she's looking at optimism, nostalgia, emotional storytelling.
Yeah.
These are all things that a lot of brands are really kind of going to at a time of unprecedented volatility in our country and in the world. A lot of people kind of retreat to, hey, quote, the days where it was maybe a little less complicated.
Well, and that really harkens back to the earlier days of brand. I mean, there was the brand always exhibited joy and, much jubilance in their styles and just overall, I mean, there were times that it almost looked like candy. It's just so vibrant and delicious. So I'm glad that they're bringing that back. This is a brand that was purchased by Tapestry, and like so many that we saw underwent change that was not necessarily celebrated by a lot of its
and you've got
customers.
This dynamic change in the landscape, and I think behind the scenes she's talking about cutting back the range of styles by a pretty substantial amount, about 30%, so that they can go deeper. And so that tells you that they probably had sellouts, they had some challenges with inventory forecasting and control. They're also talking about not relying so much on discounting, which I think every brand's going to be dealing with right now with the advent of existing duties and then pretty heavy tariffs on the top of it. Discounting is not going to be a profitable way for most brands for the future. So I think
it can hurt a brand.
Well, especially when costs have gone up so dramatically, you don't have that luxury of additional profitability to have a philosophy driven on markdowns and discounts. And so I think the entire industry is going to be challenged with that. Sales have dropped 13%, so there needs to be some changes.
Yeah. Well, leaning back in on quality, going back to the foundation of the brand and focusing on tightening their assortment. These are things that we advise a lot of brands on. I think those are some really great decisions. We just had our industry, the CNMI Sustainable Fashion Awards of 2025. This also took place in Milan, and it's really nice to see that there's this dedication towards ongoing growth in this space. And there was quite a few call outs of companies that are doing good things that was celebrated.
Yeah, and I think they also gave a nod to the late Giorgio Armani during that with this posthumous legacy award. It was accepted by his family and close associates. Anna Wintour led the tribute, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Award winners were Todd's, Charvaria, Saheli, Regenesi, Schneider Group, Saki, Ermenegildo Zegna, and Keaton. They all won different awards.
Congratulations on all those pronunciations, by the way.
I'm glad that I got it right for once. Yeah. Yeah. I think they underscore, fashion's push beyond aesthetics, really emphasizing on environmental ethics, social impact, inclusivity, and circularity, something that is kind of challenged in today's environment. And I'm glad they're still champions of that. I think you can do both.
Right. With Clothing Culture, we, as we discussed, have several media outlets, and one of them is a magazine. Earlier in the year, we rolled out our issue on sustainability. So there's a dozen stories there on some of the amazing things that's happening in the space. If this is an area that you're interested in learning more, feel free to go to our website and download that magazine. It is free. There's some wonderful highlights in there, and certainly we can make sure to share some of the highlights from this last award season, so that way you can keep tabs on all the good things that's happening out there. Any final thoughts for us as we close today, Bret?
I don't.
Okay, fast and furious. Well, thank you for joining us on this clothing brief. Do not forget to subscribe to stay apprised of upcoming